Hi, friends. I'm Nancy Fox.
And I'm Elaine Doran. Welcome to Deep Diving Divas. Don't go away, especially if you're 90 or if you know someone who's 90, because we have Sylvia Martin on today, a unbelievable woman who is so filled with energy, passion, joy, and happiness and curiosity for life at the age of 90. And she's going to tell you the answers and give you some advice.
I love that. And Elaine, you know what you shared with me? She came to America just at 20 with absolutely not a plan. Then later, when she settled in America, she went back to school in her 30s and became a marriage and family therapist. And then after 50 years of marriage, she lost her husband. But she pulled herself back up and she rebuilt her life. And what an incredible life she created.
So you will see after meeting her that you are going to be excited to keep moving on, to keep living, to take advantage of every moment and not be filled with fear about the future.
Absolutely. Let's dive in with Sylvia Martin.
Hey there, friends, it's Nancy and Elaine. They're the deep diving divas, it's quite a name. They're diving deep into the things that matter most, from friendships to family and so much more. Join them each week for a splash of fun.
Hi, Sylvia. So nice to meet you.
Likewise, I'm really excited to be here.
Oh,
And
so
hi.
glad. Hi. It's a great story how we met. Why don't you tell everybody how this happened?
Well, my daughter lives in Madrid and she has a boyfriend who is an artist and he's about to study ceramics. And so she wanted to know when they went to visit if I knew somebody who was into ceramics. Um, Lorna, my friend, is an artist, and she, of course, has been on your show. And I asked her. And then so she introduced me to Elaine, and we had lunch, and she was telling me about the podcast. The next thing I know, here I am. And that's
Hey,
kind of my story. Things happen, opportunities come. I never imagined I'd ever be on a podcast. And the same thing happened when I came to the States. I went to a party, I was about 20, and I was talking to a young woman there, and she was telling me that she was coming to the States on a working holiday with three other girls. They had booked on the Queen Mary, it was a long time ago,
wow.
and one of them had got cold feet and decided she didn't want to go, and they were looking for someone. So I said, "Oh, I'll go," just like that. And I went home to my parents and I said, "Hey, can I go to America?" Because they would sign for me because I was underage. And they said, "Go, go." They thought I was joking. So I immediately applied to the embassy. And they were leaving in 6 weeks. And they I had to get a work permit because we wanted to work. We couldn't afford to be there for 6 months. I got that work permit. I got a green card in 6 weeks
Well,
because it,
let me just say something, Sylvia, because I mean, I love that story. It says a lot about you at a very young age. But I mean, did you ever think that this was this short adventure that turned your whole life around? Did you ever think, wow, that one impulsive choice changed everything in my life?
it's funny because you say the word impulsive, and I see it as spontaneous, but people would say, "Oh, you don't think, you just act." And it was spontaneous. They were coming back in 6 months, and I promised my parents I would come back in 6 months. And we would go across the country on a Greyhound bus, and it was an adventure. And I thought I was going back. And when I look back now, it was the best thing I ever did. And I mean, I changed my life. I met my husband in New York the first week I was there.
Oh, wow.
And neither of us wanted to get involved. He had been in New York for a year, and he was on his way to Los Angeles, and I had just arrived. It was like the third day, and I didn't want to get involved, but we did. But when I look at that, I see throughout my life that if something seems like an adventure or something looks interesting, I grab the opportunity. But in those days, when you said impulsive, that was how people would see me. Now, I love that I'm spontaneous. I love that I am open. I love that I'm not afraid to risk, because I'm the same person. And I think that many people, if they look back to how they were as a child, before all of the programs and all the things that take that spirit away, you're never too old.
So that was my question, Sylvia. I was
Yes.
going to ask you, do you think you have to be young to be bold? But guess what? You just answered my question. Basically, first of all, Sylvia, would you share your age with all of us? Is that okay? Is that inappropriate?
Of course, next year I'm going to be 90.
Oh,
And I hike, and I have never been as happy as I am now, because it's taken me all this time. It's a good thing I've lived a long life to really like who I am. And I really like who I am. And I also know I am in control of my life, and we all are. And I really didn't realize that when I was younger. And I was trying to fit in, and I was trying to be liked. And I'm also aware of my age in as much as every moment is precious. And it's a waste of time to worry about what's going to be, what's happened. I believe that I'm the director of my life, and it's up to me. And I'm blessed. I am really blessed because I have good health. I have amazing energy. I have so many people in my life. People keep on coming, all ages.
Let me ask you, because there's a pattern, which is similar to my pattern of doing things. I use the word, I guess, impulsive or an instinct. Nancy's been very successful doing what she thinks. But just fast forward a bit from when you came to America. Once again, whatever the term is you want to use, but you left school in England, I think when you were 16, correct? But suddenly at 39, if I might, I won't figure out the math, but it was, it was
a
20
while
years ago.
back.
Okay, you found yourself in a classroom in the United States. Sylvia, that must have been terrifying. What were you doing there?
No, it's another story. When I came to the States, I found that most everybody I met had gone to college. Most Americans had gone to college. And because I had an English accent, for some reason, they thought I was well educated. And so I felt like a fake. And plus that, my eldest daughter happened to be highly gifted. And at 5, she was reading like 25 books a week. By 7, I felt intimidated by her. And I had some big wounds in education, and that I won't go into it. But we all have wounds of things that has an effect on us. And I knew that I had been very successful in my life. Whatever I had done, I'd always done well. But there was this part of me that felt I wasn't very bright. And I knew I had to confront that fear. And so that was the fear. And it's funny because as my children and my husband didn't need me anymore, I decided to go into real estate. And I was very, very successful. And I said at that time, I'm going to buy you a Cadillac. I didn't think to buy myself the Cadillac. I said, and I did. I was like the highest producer every month. But as I was trying to put the sign in the ground for open house, you see, I thought I could do it just weekends, and you can't. My husband and my kids were playing at my house in the pool or whatever, and I'm busy. And that's when I decided I have to go back to school and I have to find out. And so I started with one class, and I never, ever thought I could get a degree. I didn't even know if I could pass the class. And I went.
What was that class? What was that class?
Huh?
What was that?
Psychology.
Yes.
Because I was doing a lot of introspection. I have all my life since I've been a little girl. I've always tried to understand who I am and who other people are. The top priority in my life have been relationships. And so I took that one class, and I sat at the back of the room as far away as I could from the professor so he wouldn't call on me. And what I found was I love learning. And so then I thought, oh, I'll go back. And before I knew it, I was taking all the classes, and I thought, well, maybe I could get a degree.
In psychology. In psychology?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
so
goodness.
I started with the AA, and then the BA, and then the MA, and it was like none of it was in my head. It was confronting fear. And that was huge for me. You know, people would say to me, does it bother you that you're older than everyone? And I said, I don't even notice it. I mean, I was there. That had a huge, huge effect on my life.
Sylvia, let me ask you. So many people are out there listening, and they're thinking, okay, this woman is remarkable and bold and has a lot of courage, but is it too late for me? Can I actually do what she's doing? So if you have to give advice, what could they do? Give us your best advice on courage to actually walk into the classroom or sign up to take the real estate course or whatever their passion is.
I think that you have to ask yourself, what is the worst thing that could happen? And, and what is likely to happen? But the thing is, it's just getting over that fear. And once you do that one little step, it's the first step that is the hardest. Yeah. Because then, I didn't see myself as bold. I didn't see myself as any of the things that you're saying. I saw myself as very insecure and low self-esteem. And it's all of those little steps, but it is confronting fear, because we only know for sure today. And if someone isn't happy today, that's all you have. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And all of those, the head talk and the fears that you have, they may never happen. And I can even say that with my husband's death, because my husband never took care of himself. And I used to worry, and he would say, I'm not going to if I die a little sooner, I don't care. I'm not going to deprive myself. And I used to worry about him. He was going to get diabetes and all this. My husband died in his sleep from a heart attack. It was nothing to do with what I was worrying about.
Oh, wow.
And I made up my mind then. I'm not going to waste my energy and time and worry.
Sylvia, that is such a message. I mean, particularly, I'm a little bit older than Nancy, but I mean, facing those kinds of things now, every day I have a different scenario in my head. How's it going to end for me? How's it going to end for Richard? Do you know, and you could just make yourself crazy because we really don't have any answers.
But you know what? I want to add one more thing to that, Elaine. You know, Sylvia, when you said you're just not going to worry, I think that's a really bold message. I say this to Elaine, you know, if she's worrying about something or if other friends are worrying about something, I always say, if worrying changes the scenario or actually fixes the problem, hey, have at it, worry away. But we all know worrying doesn't change the scenario. So it's wasted energy. Go with move forward and get into action mode, not worry mode.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
Sylvia, I think, but the final part of the story of you going back to school and getting all your degrees is you became a therapist.
Right.
And so that tell us a little bit about that. I mean, working with clients at your age, starting out, how old were you when you actually became a therapist?
Well, I also took, where I went back to Valley College. That's where I took the psychology class.
Yeah.
And after that, I ended up teaching that same class, and I taught psychology there, and at Pierce, at both them. And I was in a funded program at one time it was called housewives that had gone back to school. And they were being retrained because many of them had gone through a divorce. They had put their husbands through school. They had become attorneys or doctors. And then all of a sudden, their husbands had gone off with younger women. And so they were left with no careers. And they came into the class, and they would say, I'm just a housewife. Because, of course, this is my era when women, that was what they did. And they would say, I'm just a housewife. And I would point out what skills a housewife, if that's what you want to call it, or a homemaker has. Social directors, um, accountants, hostesses. And so I was teaching career skills and self-esteem as well as psychology. And so I was doing that 3 times. I wasn't doing it full time because I had my private practice.
I guess when you get to 90, you know, there's a lot of chapters to your life. But tell us today, what is your day? What does your time look like today? What gets you excited to jump out of bed?
Everything gets me excited to jump out of bed. I get up early, but I stay in bed, and I do my stretching exercises. I do my meditation in bed. I'm learning Spanish, so I do a little Spanish in bed, and then I get up and I usually go to the gym. I hike, and I last year I did a 7K walk at Big Sur, and I'm going to do it next year. I did my first marathon at 69,
That's
the
something.
LA Marathon at 69. Um, I'm lucky because I've always exercised, and I know we all know what we're supposed to do. But when people look at it like punishment, it's hard to do it. But I've always liked it, and it's the same with food. We all know how we should be.
Right.
I've always liked fruits and vegetables, so I'm lucky. I also like chocolate, but everybody
Whatever.
knows what they should do. And as a therapist, that I usually don't give advice. I listen to the people because everybody knows what's right for them. But it's often they don't listen to themselves. And if they got back to really trusting themselves, they would have the answers.
Sylvia, let me ask you, being your age, how are you self-conscious about your age? Do you think sometimes you look around and you go, I'm the oldest one in the restaurant, I'm the oldest one at the gym, here I am at this event or concert or wherever I am, I'm hiking and with all these young people, they're all looking at me like, gee, should I help her up the hill? Uh, how do you deal with that?
No. My answer is no, no, no. I'm very proud of my age. Everybody always says, oh my goodness, how old are you? And I'm usually the oldest at everything I do. And that's because I do it. I go to the gym and I go to the regular classes and I can't get down as well as they do, but I don't feel that way. I feel really proud that and grateful. I am so grateful that I have this energy. I mean, in 3 weeks, I'm flying to Madrid to see my daughter, and then she's coming with me to London so I can see my friend from kindergarten. I've known her 82 years. And then I'm going to see my first boyfriend, who I knew just before I came
I hope you'll still have a lot of energy by the time you see him.
Yeah.
yeah, he doesn't have so much energy anymore. But I'm aware, where I am aware with my age is I know that it could all be over for me tomorrow. I could trip, I could fall, I could worry if I wanted to. But I know that's where I know my age, but it makes me value life even more.
Sylvia,
Because
that's a wonderful place. We're going to have to end. Your
Oh, gosh.
story is such a gift. Thank you for reminding all of us that you should be curious, courageous, resilient, and carry it through your entire life. And it's never too late to be bold.
And let me just say, one of the key things that I've thought of, even for myself, and I see with Nancy, and of course, Sylvia, you mentioned the word, is energy. And I don't know if it's energy because we're born with it or because we mentally have that. But it's such an important word because so many people find themselves tired because they're doing nothing. They think they don't have any energy. And you know what? If you would get up and go, your energy will start to grow.
Yeah.
and
So,
try to have something to look forward to.
As you
Whatever
clearly
it is that
do.
brings you joy. It's
yes.
different for everyone, but that is something, that you need to say, what brings me joy or what used to bring me joy?
Yeah. And then find it. Sylvia, thank you. What an
My
honor. What
pleasure.
a pleasure.
This has been wonderful. Good to see you
Thank
again,
you.
Sylvia.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
It's
Bye.
wonderful.
Thank
Bye.
you, Sylvia. Elaine, we've gotten a lot of letters from viewers asking us what kind of eye makeup we wear. I think that's so cute. And okay, everybody, this is not an ad, but Elaine and I are in love with Thrive Cosmetics.
Ta-dam, dum, ta-dam.
And look at
It's our,
this
it's
cute
our
little
little lunch
makeup
bag.
bag. A
Yeah.
little lunch bag. It's plastic, but if you buy 2 of their products, this
Yeah.
is the free bag you get. And so initially, I sent you a gift. I wanted you to try. They're bright. It's called, I think it's a brightening pencil. But if you look at our eyelids, this
Yes.
color is champagne. And so we're both using it. Come on, Elaine, join me.
Here we go. And I have to tell you that this is so great. If you wake up with, like I do, brown and kind of yellow, pinky lines or whatever it looks like underneath you, then this is what you need because it really does cover it up.
Look how open your eyelids get. It's a
Yeah,
great product.
it is.
And their most popular product
You
is
don't
the
really have to, you
mascara.
don't have to rub it in very much.
No,
Really.
it's very creamy. That's
Yeah, it is.
why.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I said you might want to try their mascara. So my daughter-in-law Jade recommended it to me, and now it's my only mascara. Now I paid it forward, recommended it to you, to my mom,
Yeah.
to my other friend, and so it's a wonderful mascara at I think $25. Lasts a long time, but it makes your eyelashes really thick with having one single layer.
And I love the brush because it's very fine and very soft. And actually, when you get this tube, you feel like there's a lot in there. I mean, some of these things are just, but it's there. And for people, if you don't have eyelashes like Nancy, like I said, it helps because it looks like you don't have to put on so much eyeliner or any eyeliner at all, which I'm kind of stopping doing, and using using this for your mascara. So
Everybody, check out Thrive Cosmetics. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Elaine, if everybody wants to reach us, they can email us like the person did about the makeup question.
yes,
The Deep Diving Divas at gmail.com. And follow us on our socials or on our YouTube channel, or we're podcasts where you listen, all at Deep Diving Divas.
great.
Ready?
Yes, don't forget the podcast, those of you who are on the move all the time, because that is a great place just to listen to us. You might not see the mascara, but you can listen.
Thank you all for joining us. Until next time, bye, Divas.
Bye, everyone. Take care.